Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 233 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. Tonight, joined by Mondo.
Ahoy!
Ahoy, hoy.
Ahoy, ahoy.
I was getting somehow my TikTok algorithm has got me onto Simpsons clips. So,
You know what's interesting, Jason? Just like a week ago, YouTube started recommending me best of Simpsons season X or whatever.
oh,
That's
really?
interesting. It's interesting because I don't use TikTok, not because I'm too cool for TikTok or anything, but I'm really in this process of trying to purge myself off social media,
Right.
and not so much that I think there's a lot of good that social media can do. Like if you're a creator or if you're a business or a brand or a musical group, artist, whatever, it can connect you to like-minded people and to fans. But I think the toxicity of it is pretty bad. And the fact that God, I don't want to be an old man yells at clouds, but the fact that it's designed to keep us addicted is pretty harrowing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you saw that big lawsuit that came through this week.
I did not dig into it because again, I'm trying to, and this might make me a bad human being, but I've really been trying to also separate myself from what's going on in the world. I don't mean I'm trying to stay ignorant to it,
Right.
but I think I was getting bombarded by so much, it wasn't good for my brain.
No, I 1,000% agree that I get really sucked into these things with a lot of like news, YouTube channels and stuff, and I get really into it. And then this week, especially, it's reaches a fever point where like I want to stay aware. So I'm still like checking news sites and things, but the commentary just gets to be too much.
It's and this is not, I mean, there are very smart people out there that work in every industry. There are
Mhm.
people at your local gas station that are fucking brilliant. It's just how it is, right? Yeah, which is why I hate when people get looked down on for their job or whatever. It doesn't mean they're not smart. It means that's just, shit happens in life, right? But
Mhm.
no offense, so I don't care what most people's takes on the war is or on fucking politics are, because most of it is just fear mongering and sensationalism, because people literally care more about likes and clicks than they care about actually disseminating proper
Yeah.
information. And I just got tired of seeing shit on threads like, oh my God, I can't believe it, with no context while we're in the middle of a fucking war. It's like, you know what you're fucking doing.
Yeah.
And
I
it's not,
curate a handful of YouTube channels that like I can tell that they do have a level of substance. I mean, yes,
yeah,
they do need their clicks, but there is substance behind what they're saying. To
I do
or
think
I can at
you
least pick out which videos are the ones that are going to be more informative than just like opinions.
I somehow feel like YouTube has one of the more balanced algorithms
Yeah.
in that it is funny. I do get mad at YouTube sometimes, but this is for completely dumb reasons, and I'll talk about that in a second here. But I feel like the political commentary that I watch on YouTube is stuff that it's from people who are very smart politically, and I value their opinion because I think they
Mhm.
have a balanced take on things. I rarely get fed sensationalism, if that makes sense.
Right.
And my complaint with the YouTube algorithm is because I like heavy metal, it'll recommend me some dog shit. Like, there's probably a way, and I'm sorry that it's funny because I work in technology and I'm pretty good at. I'm obviously I'm a fucking I'm an engineer for my company, but I don't like having to fuck with things. And I know there's a way in YouTube you can kind of say yes, more of this, no less of this, and really get that algorithm curated for you towards what you want to see. I don't have the patience for it, and that's on me. So I'm not knocking YouTube for that. That's completely on me as a user. But I think that YouTube though generally gives me kind of what I want to see, which is I want to get high and watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia clips. That's what I
Right.
want to do.
Right. We're definitely going to get back to a lot of what we've been talking. What we've been dancing around a little bit.
Yeah.
First, a couple. One house cleaning item. In case you haven't noticed, the pile of boxes. I am moving to a new place over the month of April, so our release schedule might be a little bit funky. This will come out. We have the Amanda Weiss episode, Tina from Nightmare on Elm Street in the can, so we're going to release that as our Monday episode. This will come out the Monday afterwards, just because I don't think we're gonna have time to film all the episodes that we need to this month. So that's gonna be kind of our filler, but it's a wonderful interview from someone, from an iconic movie. And we also talk about her role in Fast Times at Ridgemont High and the John Cusack 80s movie, Better Off Dead.
Oh, I love that movie.
I need to rewatch. I haven't seen it in so long, but there is a Freddy Easter egg in that movie,
Oh,
and I don't want to give away, just to give away a little bit what we talk about. And there's a scene where Amanda Weiss is at a party, and there's a guy walks behind her with a Freddy sweater.
that's cool.
But
I always thought it was really.
however, the Nightmare on Elm Street hadn't come out yet, so like they're both movies filmed essentially within like a couple months of each other. So how does that happen? You have to watch the episode to find out.
I am now intrigued because I have not done the audio for this episode yet. So I'm very intrigued by that. It's
and she's also a lovely, lovely person to talk to. So it's a great episode.
Yeah, I am so jealous that you're kind of, I don't know if you're real life buddies, but you're at least kind of internet buddies now with Ira.
Yeah, no, we email when stuff comes up. So like they had the girl who gets thrown into the TV by Freddy and Dream Warriors.
No, this is what I mean. I saw that post when you asked him to borrow $16,000 or something.
Right. Well, then Ira emailed me afterwards, like, where did you find that? What? So, and they have, if you have $10,000, they have the wizard cloak is going up for auction, or it recently went up for auction.
I've always said that I could never be a billionaire in life, and I think unless I married a billionaire and got divorced and got half the money, that's the only way.
You have half a billion.
Yeah, then I have, well, maybe they had 2 billion. And I got 1 billion. I can be a billionaire, but I would. That's the kind of shit I would have in my house.
Right, yeah.
Like
the wizard cloak from Dream Warriors. Hell yeah.
I would help as many people as I possibly could, and then I'd have just the wizard cloak. Yeah, the wizard cloak, a Freddy bust.
Or you just build your own horror museum, make it like $1 just to keep the lights on, or something like that, and just to pay the staff, and then just have everyone enjoy it.
That'd be the dream, sir. Be the dream. I need you next time I come to Los Angeles. I need you to connect me with Ira, because I still want to tell him my idea for his character in the Dream Warriors. I think he'd appreciate it.
Okay, I'm sure we can do lunch.
Don't fuck with my emotions, dude. Because I'll be down there in September for Iron Maiden. And you also told me before we went on the air, we'll peel back the curtain a little bit, some inside baseball, that Geezer Butler is at Monster Palooza this year. I think that's going to be that's definitely going to have to be a must visit for me.
Yeah, Monster Blues is a great time. All right, so this week we are reviewing another Masters of Horror episode. It is season 1, episode 6, Homecoming. This is directed by Joe Dante. I'm going to do, since Jody's not here, I pulled up a really quick plot synopsis that I haven't read yet, so let's see how accurate it is. All right, Homecoming is a dark, satirical satire set during the Iraq War. But it's also, again, Masters of Horror takes place, I think this episode came out in
2008 or 6?
No, December. This episode came out December 2nd, 2005. So we're like in the thick of it.
God, fucking 20 years later, and here we are.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna get into it. But it's also one of those things where like they don't say Iraq anywhere in it, but it's obviously what it is. They say the president, and they even hear a voice of the president, but they don't say Bush. They don't say Republican or Democrat, but they're obviously referring to Republicans, and most they say liberals.
They do, yeah.
Okay. So the story follows a media consultant for the Republican Party named David Murch, who is working on a re-election campaign for a conservative politician, aka George Bush, when a controversial talking point emerges, suggesting that if soldiers killed in the war could vote, they would support this administration and the war. This sparks an eerie and supernatural chain of events. Soon after, reports surface that fallen American soldiers are mysteriously rising from their graves and making their way back home. These reanimated dead are not violent zombies, but solemn, determined figures with a singular purpose: to vote in the upcoming election. Their return sends shockwaves through the political establishment, media, and the public. As panic grows among those in power, efforts are made to suppress or control the undead voters, revealing a deep cynicism and fear of accountability. Meanwhile, the resurrected soldiers become a haunting symbol of the true cost of war, confronting the nation with the consequences of its political decisions. Blah, 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 blah. So essentially, a guy makes a comment on the show, if soldiers could, if I had one wish, the soldiers would come back and tell us, and vote to keep this war going, or, whatever, however he says it. And then the soldiers from this war do end up coming back. It's kind of a wish magic. But then on election nights, like this, they literally show zombies going to a polling place and filling out like one of those old school punch ballots, which was a little campy looking back on it now. But the Republican Party are seeing the early exit polls, and I guess zombies do exit polls too, and realize that they're going to lose. So then they suddenly call all the people who do the vote counting and change and disenfranchise all the undead votes the night of the election. And then the zombies, so the only zombies that have been resurrected thus far are zombies that served in the Iraq war, but because they've all been disenfranchised, or they're showing them put into camps, they call for backup. So then it kind of the end is that all the zombies, all the fallen soldiers from every war, World War II, Vietnam, etc., resurrect as well to take down the establishment.
And they're not coming to vote this time. They're coming for blood.
Right. Yeah. So there's a full-on zombie apocalypse started by that. All right, Mondo, start us off.
Yeah. So this episode is somehow one of the most terrifying episodes of Masters of Horror unintentionally.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that what you see in this is very much mimicking what a specific political party is trying to do today is kind of horrifying. And there's one lapse of logic I need to get out of the way first. And the little bit of lapse in logic I didn't like, as they did talk about how the undead were influencing the living. And that's why the polls were turning. And they only mentioned there's only a few hundred soldiers. So disenfranchising them would not have swung the election.
Well, that was like the initial, they weren't sure. So, I mean, you can kind of hand wave that, like, okay, that was their first count.
But either way, though, the message stands. And this, realistically, the episode is obviously painting the right wing in a negative light, which at the time, when we dealt with the wars in Iraq, I think at the time, is definitely emblematic of the time that we were in when this was made. And I'd be interested to read the short. I'm not sure when the short story was written, but I'd be interested to kind of see that and read that. But it's scary how it mirrors today, whereas the zombies are basically how the right wing talks about the zombies in this is how the president of the fucking United States talks about anyone who doesn't agree with him nowadays. They're lunatics, they're idiots, they don't have brains, so why should they be able to vote? And I think more than anything, this episode is really about the power of the media and power of suggestion and power of how easy it is to control the population with your words when you have power, and how people will follow power. And I also think it's a very big misconception right now in the United States. And I'm trying to skirt politics a little bit here and not get too deep into what's going on right now, because I get it that I know a lot of people listen to podcasts not to hear this shit, but this is a hard episode not to get into that.
Well, let me just jump in for a second, because I don't usually engage with political talk, and especially on the podcast, I try to stay away from it. People are here for to talk horror stuff, but at this point in time with this episode, I'm kind of taking my gloves off a little bit.
Ooh.
Because we're doing the exact same shit that we did again, and then we were young men at the time, and now we could have been not drafted, but people were trying to get us to go fight in this war, and now we're in the exact same place. We're on the cusp of possible another ground invasion, and all three of us have children of draftable age or recruitment age. That could be, and that just infuriates me.
There's a reality to this, and it's the scary thing about politics in general is that you have these rich people or these people in positions of power. They almost see it as a game. This is fucking risk to them. Right. This is like when we were in middle school or high school. Sorry, I was a nerd and we play Risk. And that's literally what it is. And there's no consequences for them. And
because these people never face consequences.
Yeah, and I can't remember who said the quote, and it was something like, "It's the rich that wage war, but it's the poor that die." And we're just fucking like chess, man. We're just pawns. And to see that, and to see how quickly that is happening right now, when you see people, there is and this is going to get political. So if you don't want to hear this, like fast forward a little bit, but there's a difference between a conservative and a MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
There very much is. And I have friends that are conservative. I don't have friends that are MAGA at this point, because our at this point, if you're still mad, if you're MAGA and you still listen to our podcast at this point, I actually take my hat off to you that you deal with our bullshit, or sorry, my bullshit, and still listen. So fucking hats off to you. But I don't understand how anyone can see what's happening in the world and look at this episode, and when this was happening back in 2005, 2006, or it wasn't like it is now. The access to social media and to see what's going on in the world, well, it was not at our fingertips. So most people relied on the newspaper, the news, right? That's literally our sources of information. And it was so much harder to kind of peel back the onion, so to speak, and get into the root of what was actually happening. Where now it's not that hard if you have fingers. If you have fingers and internet connection, you can figure out what's happening. You can, and I personally know people who were Trump voters who hugely regret that vote. And I think you get that from the main character in this, where he is definitely someone who starts to regret all the things he's done. Because even for as bad of a person he is to manipulate elections, he is still standing up for the fucking these zombies to vote, because he's still like, they're still fucking Americans and they still die for us and they deserve to vote.
I mean,
and he has a redemption arc too, but he has a redemption arc. But what I like about his redemption arc is that he doesn't get off scot-free.
No, definitely not.
And
he accepts his consequences.
Yes, he accepts responsibility for his actions. And this goes out to anybody who might be listening to us that has turned their back on Trump. And I fucking respect you if you did that, because it takes and I won't call him out by name, but a person who I consider a friend definitely told me how much he regretted his vote for Trump and how bad he feels about all this. And I said, but you need to fucking sit in that and live with what you did. And that's the reality of it is. Like, I'm not going to say like, I'm happy to fucking come over to our side, dude. Let's do it. But also you have to understand like the consequences of your action. And I think that the main character did. And I really did like that he understood the consequences of his actions and didn't try to weasel out of it. He knew what was going to happen to him when he shot the woman in the back. He knew like time was up.
Right.
And I love the arc with his brother. I love the fact that like he paid for his sins there too. Although I think that was more of an innocent, in a way. Like when you're a kid, you don't know what you're doing. But getting away from the politics for all that, Greg Nicotero doing the effects in this was fucking great. There are some great gags in this. I love there's a zombie, there's an ode to Night of the Living Dead in the middle within the cemetery. And I love the zombie choking him. He drives off and the arm is still attached to him after he gets disconnected from the body. The gore with the car crash was great. I liked how the wraparound worked. Because you kind of don't understand. You see the beginning, you can kind of get where it's going, but you don't understand like why he does what he does until the end comes. And I think that was done really, really well, leaving with the intrigue. I like that they packed so much into this 55-minute runtime that it never feels like it's direct. There may be a couple parts that are a little bit slower. I also like how they managed to humanize the zombies and you see the first time that he gets this tinge of humanity is when they have that zombie strapped to the table and the guy's shooting him. And the guy's like, dude, they can feel pain. And the guy's like, who cares? And you can see that's when his gears started turning, that we're the fucking bad guys. So I did like all that. I think the episode is really, really well done. I think it's kind of crazy that 21 years later, we can still look at this and it still mimics modern politics. Because I like Bill Burr on one of his latest specials. Whenever you think about Bill Burr and the whole Saudi Arabia thing, bear with me on this. But he does a whole thing where he talks about like, how the fuck is war legal at this point? How are we allowed to kill people?
I mean,
for political
all wars are crimes. That's what comes down.
Yes, right. And to see that this stuff is still happening it's disheartening. It disheartens me because we're in our 40s. we're not like middle age. We're past middle age, dude. Like it's is what it is. Like the males live to what's our life? What's our average lifespan? Like they're 76.
Oh,
We're
Lord.
past that.
Mine's who knows what.
Yeah, we're past that, right? And to think in my lifetime that when I was a kid, man, and I heard about my grandfather's war stories and about World War II and what he went through and all that. And my uncle was in Vietnam. And then Desert Storm happened when I was fucking 9, all younger than that. Started 1990s, so I was 7 when that happened. And I was thinking like, well, it's okay. Because one day, like, we're going to be too smart to go to war, right?
Nope.
Fuck, dude, here we are. But to anybody out there who hasn't seen this episode, it does very much mimic what's going on in the world right now. It can be triggering. I didn't feel great after I watched this. So I just want to throw that out there. But I do think it's a very, very good watch. It's very poignant. And I think that more people should. I don't want to say like get too deep in the weeds. Like do what's right for you and what's right for your mental health when it comes to politics, when it comes to everything. But I'm sure I'm gonna say this over the next 3 years. But if you fucking are just thinking your vote doesn't matter, it fucking does. Like if this episode shows you anything, it says your vote fucking matters. Go fucking vote and do your civic goddamn duty. And let's turn this shit around because it's gonna take a long time, but we got a chance. The goddamn, that was my soapbox, Jason. And thank you for letting me stand on it. When you said you're going to go in on this one, I want to go into because I'm.
No, I mean you took second everything you just said. Yeah, this again. Hats off to Joe Dante for taking on this big issue like this.
Well, to be fair, and this is not taking away from anything Joe Dante did. Like. I feel like when this happened, when also was happening, I don't think when I watched this, I know I watched all these episodes the day they came out because I was so excited to come home and watch Masters of War, but I don't think I took it as deep as I do now. And maybe that was part of being young and not being is well educated. I mean, I'm not fucking educated. I'm a goddamn high school graduate, but not being maybe in tune with the world as much as I am now.
Well, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. So again, like. The day-to-day nuances of what's happening with a lot of these things, you have to be really intentionally plugged in. Like I remember I was in college during the Iraq War, during 9/11, everything, and I took a political science class, and the professor gave us, free subscriptions to the Wall Street Journal, so we could like be keeping up on daily news, and it was hard to like. To pick up a newspaper, read through all the articles and kind of like try to scan through and figure out what was printed and not. Like you have to put in real effort. Where now you can pick up your phone again. If you have fingers on the phone or internet, you can find anything about anything, or you can go to an algorithm that'll present you with stuff. So I think we're much more in tune with like every decision, everything that happens. Without the filter of a newspaper or a specific the 3 TV channels that you might have access to. So I think especially now we're much more hyper aware, which again is a good thing overall, but you can also again, like you said, fixate on these things. Like pretty much I have my therapist session every 2 weeks, and pretty much every time he's like, I talk about my anxieties about all these things. He's like, it's good you're keeping aware, but you can always take a step back. It's not. And I tell him I don't want to make myself ignorant. I want to keep up with things. But he's like, well, you have to find a balance between those two things. It's like we had almost the exact same discussion almost every session.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel I want to be a well-informed citizen, but there's so much being thrown at you now that you have to really take it on yourself to kind of find that to keep your own sanity check. Back to this episode a little more. Yeah, the directing's great. It stars John Tenney as David Murch, who was actually in the Tales from the Crypt episode Halfway Horrible. He's got a fun background. We have Robert Picardo, most notably as the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager.
I never watched that show. I just wanted to act like I knew somebody.
Yeah. And well, he was also in Inner Space, another Joe Dante movie. You ever seen that one?
No, that's one I've not seen.
It is a bonkers ass. If you want to watch the thing, okay, this episode is actually the most serious thing Joe Dante's ever created. I mean, the idea of the zombies voting is kind of silly. It makes sense for the storyline, but it's a little silly. But overall, this is like the most straightforward, serious thing that I think Joe Dante's ever made. Inner Space is
sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'll come back to that. But Inner Space is like 1,000 miles away. It's about, I think it's Randy Quaid is like a pilot or like a test pilot. It gets into a machine that gets shrunk down and put into a human. And then there's like a rival company that also shrinks something down, puts it in a human. They have to like fight each other. It's like little robot mech suits inside of a human body.
I fucking love this idea. I've never seen this.
With Martin Short. And so, but there's like, okay, so they're doing some like miniature shrinkage thing. And they, by mistakenly, something like a terrorist attack or something happens, and they get injected into Martin Short's body.
That was my porn star name, was Miniature Shrinkage.
Miniature Shrinkage, yeah. And so how they get into Martin Short's body, and it's weird. It's out there. It's pretty awesome.
I kind of love that, dude. I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's a very good take a gummy watch movie. Again, back to the episode. It is funny, the idea of like, well, do we let zombies vote? Are they citizens once they've been declared dead? I feel like that would be a whole Supreme Court decision thing. But again, at a time where we're having all these laws about who can and can't vote, or how people can and can't vote, that are obviously trying to disenfranchise a lot of people. Again, it's another really creepy, disappointing parallel of population manipulation. It just in a time where it just seems like a very small amount of people's desires and agendas are being forced on the entire world, and could very easily collapse world economies that could lead to millions of people starving or loss of a job. There's huge implications that are being played with for a couple of people's egos or machinations of conquest.
Well, like one of the crazy things to think about is that like the billionaires in this country could basically end fucking world hunger, could end homelessness, could end everything, and they're never going to, because it's all fucking money, man.
Well, they're asking for $200 billion to fund the war, the current war. 100 billion. They're asking for, I think, 200 billion.
200
half of whatever they're asking for could have covered the Medicaid that they took away last year.
Well, they're actually looking at further cuts to Medicaid to fund this. And it's crazy to think when they want your kids to go fucking die, but they don't want you to have fucking healthcare. And I'll stand on the soapbox again. Like the fact that we call ourselves the best country in the nation, but we can't keep our fucking citizens healthy. Like it ain't it, guys. It fucking ain't it.
Yeah. Like we can't have free school lunches for our kids. Like,
yeah, why feeding children became a fucking hot topic,
right?
Dude, like I don't have school age children. I have fucking adult children at this point, right? Still though, you want to know what, dude? I'm totally fine if my tax dollars feed your kids. Like,
yeah. Like, trust me, I have a very hefty amount I'm going to owe the IRS, the federal IRS this year, and I'm not happy my money has to go to the federal government at this time.
Yeah, dude. Like it becomes a thing when it turns into politics, and people like want to get mad about money. It's like you can't be mad about your money going to feed school children unless you're also mad about I literally need people who are mad about their tax dollars going to fucking feeding school children. If you say you don't want your tax dollars, if you don't feel like you should pay taxes, period, then I can fuck with you, because I'm like, okay. If you don't think taxes should exist, period, we can talk. But if you're okay funding war but not funding children, like, dude, I just don't know what to tell you anymore.
Yeah. There's like almost too much to say that I'm having trouble even like coming up with it all. But it's disheartening that at the very end of this episode, I'm paraphrasing, but they're like, if this ever happens again, we're gonna come back and show and you know, teach you your lesson all over again or whatever it is. But like, yeah, and here we are. I mean, and it's like such a crappy sequel too. It's like they're not even trying to sell this war to anybody. It's just
I kind of hate that you called it a sequel.
Yeah, it's like a shitty sequel.
Well, that's a thing, right? Like, if we want to get into like what happened with Iraq in 2001 and everything, GW said that there were weapons of mass destruction, and we're like, well, yeah, they can't have weapons of mass destruction. That's terrible. So the public was kind of in, right? We're kind of in on the war.
Well, also, one, post 9/11, two, they took like a whole year to sell that message.
Yeah, a good point. But they at least lied to us.
Well, yeah,
they at least fucking lied. They're at least like
1,000%.
What I'm gonna say, and this is the last thing, I'll fucking get off my political soapbox, is that if you voted for this motherfucker and you're still okay with this, you voted for a guy that said he's gonna fucking make things more affordable, that gas and energy prices are gonna come down, and there'll be no new wars, and all that's happened as things have gotten more expensive, and we're at fucking war.
I mean, okay, every politician lies to get votes. It is politics. That's the way it is. But
yes,
this was so blatant. Like they at least like people try to pretend they kept to some amount of their vote of their promises. But the fact that Trump has gone so far against everything he said he was going to do, and people fell for that. So if you call yourself MAGA at this point, it's a cult. It's not a political movement. It's not an ideology. It's a cult.
I'll shit on Biden. Like Biden said he was going to fucking eliminate student debt, and he could have, and guess what? He fucking didn't. And I want to tell people, like, I am by far like fucking, I'm more anti-government than I am anything. And I am because I don't trust a single goddamn fucking politician to tell me the truth.
Well, yeah. And anybody that wants to be a president, I don't trust to be a president.
Exactly. And I said when all my conservative friends were like, "Oh, will you love Biden?" I'm like, dude, no, I fucking didn't like Biden. I voted for Biden because he wasn't Trump. That's literally why I voted for Biden.
And that's why, and that's the problem, because we're voting for people because they're not someone else.
Yeah.
On both sides.
So it's not just an issue like what we have to figure out as a fucking society is that it's not left versus right. Mm-hmm. It's the elite versus fucking everybody. And when we figure that shit out, we're going to understand, like, hey, MAGA guy with a fucking truck, dude, guess what? I guarantee you our incomes are way closer than either of us are to fucking what Trump or any of his cronies incomes are. And they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. They just know that you're going to vote for him. That's the only difference. And if all I asked for the one movie, I'm gonna get my soapbox again with an album that I need everybody to listen to. But the one movie I ask people to watch is Bulworth.
Yeah, great
with
movie.
Warren Beatty. Because holy shit, in the 90s, were they peeling back the fucking curtain on politics back then? And one of my favorite lines he says in that movie, he goes, "A fucking poor white boy and a poor black man have more in common than a fucking poor black man and a rich black man. Because, but as long as they keep all of us fucking fighting, they know that they'll fucking always have the upper hand. Until we can come together as a nation and realize this shit has to change, none of this will fucking change."
Right.
And it's not about fucking, and it's not about fucking the transgender agenda. It's not about LGBTQ. No, it's about the fucking elite wanting to fuck everybody else so they can add another goddamn comma into their bank accounts.
Yeah. But getting 200 million people to decide to agree on anything is,
dude, you can't get 10 people.
We're getting to a point where we're getting so screwed over by everything, we're going to have to.
And we don't have to agree on everything. We have to agree on one thing.
Yeah.
And that is, this shit should all be better. If you're fucking MAGA, but you can't, but every time you get pissed off and you have to take your child to the fucking doctor, guess what? Fucking universal health care would fix that. Like, there are so many fixes for the shit that we fucking deal with, and the fact that we try to act like we're better than Europe. Where what happens if you quit your job in Europe? You still get a safety net, right? You can quit your job and still get paid 80. I think it's about either 50% or 80% of what you were paid until you can find a new job, and they will help you with school and training to find a new job. It's a crazy fucking idea. I don't know, man.
All right.
Yeah, I'm fucking worked
up. Now we get that out of our system. Okay, what do we rate this episode?
It's a tough one. It's actually a tough one. I'm gonna go. We talked way more about the world than we talked about the actual episode itself. Execution wise, it's not my favorite Masters of Horror episode.
Right.
What it gives me content wise, I think the acting was actually really good. We didn't even talk about like one of the craziest sex scenes on film.
Yes. Tell me more, Mondo. Slowly.
All I know is, dude, there's some red flags in that scene. One is the way she had him handcuffed, definitely going to cut off circulation of the wrists. That's not going to be good if you want to have a good time for a long time. Two, you do not fucking use a flogger and try to hit someone in the face with it. You just don't do that. That's as bad. That could go in their ear, hit an eye. I mean, you could do it if they knew it was going to happen, but he did not know what was up in that moment. So all I'm going to say is like the idea of BDSM is safe, sane, consensual. There was consent. I don't know how safe and sane that was, though, because there's some consideration they should have taken. They should have done to keep that a little bit safer. Yeah. It did pique my interest, though.
It's all peaked.
That was low key the fucking best joke you made on the show. And I'm so sad that took me a minute to react to it.
So, Mondo, what do you rate this episode?
I give it a 4. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I'm bumping to 4.5. If only you could make this the exact same way today, and it would still have this as big of an impact.
I think today it would be so much harder to make this because I think it would be too politically divisive to where I almost guarantee you some execs like A24 would do this, but Showtime wouldn't.
I'm just saying, like, you could I could show this to my son and not tell him when this was made, and he'd be like, "Oh, was this made last year?" I mean, within like some degree, but like, it's just so eerily relevant, and there's not much media that's this old that you can say that about, for better or for worse. So I'm doing 4.5.
We were too young to know that fucking that John Carpenter and Joe Dante were making documentaries.
For sure. Okay, now I've got the Alvar system. Let's just have a little ray of sunshine.
Hi, I'm Barbara Crampton, and you're watching Dads from the Crypt.
I already feel better.
I love Barbara Crampton.
She's a gem.
She really is, dude.
All right, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
I am giving an album of the day today, but I'm gonna pick one song off there. And I've used songs off this album before. I'm gonna fucking do it again because this album is still relevant 26 years after its release, maybe 25 and a half. I don't know when it came out in the year 2000. I kind of do because I was still in high school. So it's probably it's 25 years old, maybe give or take a few months. It's by the band Dying Fetus. Just go fucking listen to the whole record, Destroy the Opposition. And since you're not going to be able to understand the lyrics, and I'm not saying that condescending. I'm saying as a guy that's listened to death metal his fucking entire life that still has definitely read a lyric sheet for this album. They were ahead of the time, and a lot of stuff they talk about on this album politically and socially and worldview is relevant today. And it's funny. So I was talking with one of my best friends in the world, Nathan, and him and his brother. We have a group text because they're fucking very close and near to my heart. And I was like, man, if we all just listened to Dying Fetus back in the day, like the world would be a better place. Because the whole record, Destroy the Opposition, is about what the government's trying to do to us, what society's trying to do to us, and how to fucking break free from those chains. And The song I'm gonna pick off this. I think I've done this song before. I just don't fucking care because every time I hear this song, like I fucking get amped up and I'm like, I want to fight the man. It's Justifiable Homicide. Aside from being lyrically, all about the shit we're dealing with 20 fucking 6 years later or whatever. It's also, in my opinion, this record is one of the all-time great drum performances of all by Kevin Talley, who just fucking does an ungodly job playing drums, especially on this song. But lyrically, and on track, I think it's 7 or 6. Excuse me, fucking burping here. Called In Times of War. They have this fucking line, and it says, time to call the doctor, strange love is in. And mind you, I'm not reading a lyric sheet. I remember this. No other superpower means nothing to fear. Who needs a fucking treaty when we have guns? Fuck the little countries. Let's have some fun. And it's all about like how blinded we are by fucking everything we see in the world. And like one of the lines is blind to the fact that the bomb was coming down. Their sanity was sold for a beggar's handout. And the gentleman, Jason Nearton, actually left Dying Fetus, I think, after this record and started his own band called Misery Index. And if you know what a Misery Index is, that's kind of crazy. But he was very politically charged and used to run a website back then called demockery.org, which was very like, I hate to call it like the Drudge Report, but very much in the same vein when they're talking about a lot of lesser known issues that were going on in the world. But this is also back in the year 2000 when the internet wasn't as blown up as it is now. So I think everyone who just kind of likes metal and also this album, in my opinion, is one of the most important albums in the history of metal. I think anyone that likes deathcore, and I fucking hate deathcore, but they stole a lot from Dying Fetus. Bands like Slaughter to Prevail and some of their shitty bands I'm sorry, they fucking suck. Like I know people love that fucking music, but it's fucking not good. And but a lot of those bands stole a lot of their flavor from Dying Fetus. They just didn't understand why Dying Fetus did it so well. So just check out the band Dying Fetus, the album Destroy the Opposition. My song of the week is Justifiable Homicide, which is a final track, which is a great end cap for that album. But listen to that whole fucking record, and it's mind-blowing what they were talking about back in the year 2000.
Okay, can I get some clarification? Is it D-I-E-I-N-G or D-Y-E?
Why would it be D-I-E? That's not how you spell dying.
Or is it like dying or like dying with colors? Dude,
there is only one way to type the word dying, and it's D-Y-I-N-G. It doesn't matter what you're talking. Remember, we have a stupid language. So dying, D-Y-I-N-G means both things. It means either dying, but you're asking me how they're using it. Yes. They're using it as dying fetus, like abortion.
Okay. I was trying to give you an out, but
what do you mean trying to give me an out? You're the one that asked me. I'm like, does this motherfucker not know how to spell the word dying? I was like, you're smarter than I am. You've been to college. Like,
that doesn't, trust me, that doesn't make you smart. I was just in my head. I was like, a dying like an abortion, or a dying like someone.
I picked up what you were throwing down, Jason. It just took a fucking minute. The idea, and I can't remember. Like, I think you talked. Well, I think John Gallagher, who is the kind of the driving force behind the band. Like, they play now as a three. He's been the only consistent member the entire time. It was really his band to start. But I think that he talked once about the idea behind the name was just like, let's just fucking make a name that's never gonna, like, people are never want to put in a fucking album cover. Right. It's kind of that mentality when you're young. It's, let's just be fucking brutal and evil. They're playing Maryland Death Fest this year, and I'm super excited because they're only playing stuff off the first 4 records, or first 3 records technically. I don't know if they consider Infatuation with Levin's a record, but they actually were in some controversy from the they were called Awoke by some people because their first record they did Putrefaction Through Violence. So that would have been their so they did that record, then they did what? The Grotesque Impalement EP, then Killing on Adrenaline, then this one. But they had some very, like a lot of bands were doing back then, and they still do, like just being fucking edgy as shit, and had some very controversial clips before some of their songs, like movie clips. about like someone being raped, about a woman being raped. Basically, I'll be so it was. So when they re-released the record, just recently they repressed it. They got rid of that, and people were like, "Oh, they don't woke." It's like, nah, dude. It's just like we did that out. We did that when we were like 19 and 20, and we're older now, and we think that's cringy as shit, and we think it's stupid. Like, and it's like, oh my god, it's almost like people over the course of 20 years can change. And I can say, dude, like,
no,
if I was showing you some shirts that I had back in the day, you'd have been like, like if I were that short today, dude, I'd be fucking crucified. And I don't mean because we're too soft as a society. No, I'm just 43 now and realize it's kind of cringy and stupid.
If you're the same person with the same sensibilities were at 40 when you were 20, you got some issues.
You wasted 20 years of your life.
Yeah. I did like that there's a woman in this episode that has a t-shirt that says no sex for oil.
Oh, I did like that. And did you see in the graveyard scene one of the graves is George A. Romero? Yeah.
There's mostly like next to it. You can't really see it, but there's like a Fulci. There's a bunch of other.
Oh, no way. God, now I'm gonna have to go back and pause in that scene. But yeah, I didn't even catch the Romero, but when we were watching it, Kel caught the Romero one.
Yeah, I saw the Romero one, but then I went to IMDb and there's like a whole bunch of other movie references, movie director references.
Man, I've also been rewatching King of the Hill.
Did you ever stop?
I never stopped.
That's a rhetorical joke.
So I actually set up a on Plex. You can set up TV stations that you can curate. So I curated one that just plays random episodes of King of the Hill. So I can just but now I'm watching through from the beginning again.
Nice.
And this is actually my wife's idea, but there's an episode I just watched that pissed me off because Hank's truck is dying. So they're watching a movie and Hank starts crying during the movie because he's upset about his truck because he loves his truck. And Peggy goes, "There's no need to be ashamed about crying, Hank. I mean, I'm ashamed a little bit." And I was like, dude, like that's the fucking like, dude, like, nah, dude, like be supportive of your dude that you just made him feel bad for fucking crying. Like Hank goddamn Hill. Hank Rutherford Hill is trying to show his emotions, and fucking Peggy is trying to cut him down for showing his emotions. Not cool, Peggy. Not cool. Margaret. That's her real name. Margaret. She shows her ID once in the show.
All right. Just a couple quick items for horror news. Sun Help is now on streaming, so I finally got to watch it. I enjoyed it on the campy level. Yeah, the ending is kind of stupid. The last third goes a little bit off the rails, but the first two thirds are very fun. Good would be a strong word, but it's very fun. There is a little bit extra CGI, which I'm like, I guess that's just the reality. But for someone who's like built his career is known for so much practical stuff.
Hold on. Go back and watch Drag Me to Hell.
I know. Well, no,
Drag Me to Hell super holds up, but the CGI is pretty bad. But the practical shit they do in that is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Like, yeah, there's just a couple shots that I'm just like, oh.
I really enjoy it. I think if anybody hasn't listened to it, A Bloody Good Horror does a great review of Send Help, and they have Rachel from the Zombie Girls on there, who's basically a Bloody Good Horror regular now at this point, who's been on our podcast many times. One of my favorite guests, and she has a cool take on that. And I love the fact that she's like, nah, dude, ending is fucking girl boss power. I respect that too. But I was in the same boat you are. They did something at the end. One of the tropes I fucking hate when they do in movies, and I won't spoil it on here, but they just do something I just hate in movies.
Yeah. Also, they released a gameplay video for the new Halloween the Game by the makers of the Friday 13th game. Looks very promising, looks very fun. It's very much like Friday 13th, but more refined, which I understood, but they couldn't actually refine that game how they wanted to. So this one looks a lot closer to what they've been wanting to do. So, I think it comes out probably this Halloween, but it looks very cool. So check that out.
I'm still proud that I had the hardest achievement to get in Friday the 13th, the game.
What was that?
I got invited into a group, and their goal was to kill Jason. They just told me exactly what to do, and we fucking killed Jason.
Nice. Let's see.
Still feel bad about it.
Let's see. They Will Kill You just came out.
I loved it.
I want to see it, but I'm not going to see it.
Ready or Not 2 and They Will Kill You is a good 1-2 punch.
They seemed a little too similar.
They're very similar, but very different at the same time.
Okay.
And I mean it in the best way possible. They're both super fun. I think on my Letterboxd, I gave both a 4.5. And I had such a fun time with both of them.
Okay. Because I've been staying far away from anything really or not spoiler related. So, but you had so 4.5 is a good score, obviously. So
Yeah, and I might be a little bit higher than that most people are, but like as people who've been listening to this probably know, I like fun movies. So and they were both fun. And just real quick, in Ready or Not 2, Elijah Wood is just a fucking gem. Like I just love the fact that he just does whatever he wants now, and he's great
right.
at it.
There's a new horror series out now on Netflix by the Duffer Brothers called Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. Speaking of more of wedding horror, like Ready or Not. Very curious about that.
Someone was saying they were watching that and it gives them bad anxiety. So I'm kind of excited. What streaming service did you say it was on?
Netflix.
I just canceled my Netflix. So I have like 20 more days. I can finish it in 20 days.
Yeah.
They fucking raised prices again.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. I feel like there's something else coming out soon, but yeah, I can't think of it.
Faces of Death coming out soon in the theater.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that. I don't know if I'll make it to a theater, but I'm kind of into if they can nail meta / nostalgia for the people who grew up kind of watching that movie or having that movie be like this like big taboo thing.
Yeah.
I'm curious if they can tap into that for our generation, but also a bit of meta-ness for the current horror landscape. That could be something really fun.
Yeah, I don't. People who are maybe younger, like that was the movie you saw at the video store. That was like, how could anyone ever watch that? It shows real people dying. It was like fucking crazy. And then everyone's got their story about the first time they saw Faces of Death. And for me, I was the guy that got the copy because I went to the video store and I just fucking bought it. It's pretty great. I just rented it and they let me rent it.
I remember a friend of mine, I think when I was like a freshman in high school, I went to my friend's house and his brother had a copy.
Yeah, I think I was like a sophomore. I had to kind of grow my hair long. So I just went to the video store and said, hey, because I had it behind the counter. I was like, oh, I also want Face of Death. And the dude just got it for me. So I was like, I remember I was nervous as shit. Like, oh my God, sweating. Is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? I was probably, my voice is cracking internally. That's why I try to make my voice crack there.
So yeah, that's our horror news.
I thought for all you video store enthusiasts, 2 cool games recently dropped on Steam. Retro Rewind.
Yeah.
And I know whoever made this is a horror fan because as you progress in the game, you unlock more genres of movies, but the first genre you unlock is horror.
Right.
As you start out with. And it's actually really fun. It gets kind of repetitive, but I kind of like those games where I'm just high as fuck. I'm sitting there talking to customers. They'll be sassy like, I just broke a tape. It wasn't my fault. I should have to pay. I'm like, fucking paying for that tape you broke.
Now, are you playing on the Steam Deck or on the laptop?
I tried playing on Steam Deck, but the controls are a little funky on there.
Yeah.
So I've been playing on my laptop. But the other one I heard, sorry.
Well, I downloaded the demo for Retro Rewind, and I was able to map out the buttons so I could get to work a little better. It's just really hard to do the point and click.
Yes.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I just have an aversion to games that are a job. I'm like, I don't want to spend my leisure time doing work.
I think they intentionally made this game to where I've kind of figured out that you don't actually have to rush for anything. You just take your time for everything. It doesn't penalize you. You don't get more money if you rush. And I actually really enjoy that because I'm just kind of just fucking chilling, taking my time. Like I'll ring customers up and I'm having conversations with the customers, like not, verbally in my room, like a psychopath. Like, oh, fuck, you rented Hotel Hell again for the 3rd time. It's a good fucking choice. Like, it must be a good movie.
Yeah, I like the fake titles too. Those are fun.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I've heard Rewind 99, which has recently came out too. It's on early access. It's actually co-op.
Oh, that's interesting.
I raised my eyebrow at you with anticipation, maybe. But I've heard that one's kind of cool too. There's a demo of that one, so I haven't played the demo yet, but I want to check it out probably tonight or tomorrow.
Cool. Also for talking video games, we announced that Hades 2 is coming to Xbox and PlayStation. Fucking phenomenal game.
I liked Hades. I didn't like. I have this problem, and this is 100% a me problem. Is that I'll pick up a game and play for a little while, and then I kind of get. I don't have a chance to play it for a few weeks. I just forget what I'm doing. But I remember having a blast with that game, and I was playing it regularly.
If you liked Hades, the first Hades at all, this one is a huge refinement. Like it keeps what was great about the first Hades and just refines everything to make it better.
I've had this, I'll sucks you right in. I've had this weird urge to revisit World of Warcraft.
Don't.
Well,
just don't.
So because our friend of the show, Storytime Matt, who's also, by the way, Storytime Matt, the Storytime guy, Matt, has a book out about Aztec mythology that the publisher went out of business. Fucking buy that book if you can. It's a great fucking book. I've had so much fun with that book. Like, it sounds bad. It's like my bathroom book, where I go to the bathroom, I'll read a chapter or two of it and learn some fucking Aztec shit. And also one of the most knowledgeable people about Aztec, who dispels a lot of the myths about human sacrifice and whatnot. So go follow the Storytime guy if you're not, because if you're not, why the fuck aren't you? But he plays World of Warcraft. He's talking about how now you can like become a dragon and play as a dragon, and I'm like, this might be they might fucking drag me back in.
All right. Dad advice. I mean, we've given a lot of opinions in this episode. But if you have kids who are, of an older age, let them know what's going on in the world, because it's going to affect them, and in 25 years it might happen again.
Brother, they just changed the fucking recruitment age to 42.
Made it.
Yeah, I just turned 43. Like I am not happy about that. I'm just like, that's pretty fucked up, right?
And they also loosened the control. Like, we were joking that, like, oh, if any of our kids, got drafted, we just have them smoke pot so they can be discounted, and they took away that too. So,
dude, here's the reality. What happens if the draft happens? Like, I'll just fucking go to prison. Because you want to know what? You're gonna be in a prison with a bunch of other nerds that just want to fucking play. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna be in prison playing Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna make your own Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah, or D&D, and I'm not gonna have to work, and I just go hang out in jail and play Magic the Gathering. Like, fucking sign me up.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of crazy shit out there. But there's people, for everyone that's even more afraid and then more position of disadvantage than we are. We're all here for everyone. There's always going to be resistance. There's always going to be people taking care of each other, as scary as things get. Midterms are just around the corner, and I don't have that much faith in a lot of those people, but it'll help. But if anything, just we hope that at least this was an outlet to get some of your rage and anxieties out, and find someone else to talk to, and get that shit out there too.
If you want to mess with me on Instagram and just fucking rant, I'm down, dude. Like, I'll fucking listen to it. And also, while we're at it, dude, like, just fucking find some joy throughout your day.
Yeah.
Like, you can, and I'm like a huge offender of this until recently, but I would go down rabbit holes I shouldn't be going down. I'd be up fucking late, like reading, like, why did we fucking bomb this now? What in the fuck? Like, the world's ending. Find your joys, man. Don't lose track of it, and don't feel guilty about finding joy in life, because that's the other thing that happens sometimes when the world's doing this shit, is we tend to almost feel guilty about finding enjoyment. You know what? In May, I'm gonna go to Maryland Death Fest, and I'm gonna have a great time for 4 days. Yeah. And I'm gonna try to forget about the world, and everybody needs that.
And that's why I want this podcast to be a place of joy as well. But again, this is the one episode I kind of let things and brought out those things.
I think I've been less political lately. I'm trying.
No, it's not. No, this is more about me than you. Trust me.
I know. I'm just saying, though. Like, I've tried to be less, because I get it, and I also do it for my own mental sanity as well.
So. Anyways, if this was your last Dads from the Crypt episode, thank you for listening.
You're a fucking quitter, and we have no respect for you.
This is definitely not going to be allowed for YouTube advertising or promotion or whatever. After we talk about dying fetuses and 9/11 and
Dude, we
Everything
didn't talk
else.
about dying fetuses. We talked about a band called Dying Fetus.
We didn't talk about Epstein, so I think we're
It's
okay.
all music, baby.
Oh,
we didn't talk about Epstein until you just fucking brought it up.
Yeah.
But now that you want to talk about Epstein,
No. No. All right. I appreciate everyone for listening. I would really appreciate if you give us a rating or review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, a like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. And with that, I thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
goodbye.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.